Hello students, so this is Sir Shankar. Now I'm here once again with you with a new lesson from the supplementary reader of class 6, chapter 4, the old clock shop. Chapter 4, the old clock shop. So in this lesson we will see how uh, an old shopkeeper and who is having an old clock shop, he helps a person, or we can say stopped a person to do the wrong thing. So in this lesson we will see this thing. Okay, so in the first part we have two parts, and in one video, or we can say in one class, we will discuss the first part, and in the other class or the other video we will discuss the second part. So this is the first part of this lesson. Now everyone in Christmas, it was Christmas Eve, just before the Christmas, no. And all the shoppers, they were going home. All the shoppers, they were going home uh, because the it was maybe very cold to stay at like outside for long. And the Salt Lake City in USA, the Salt Lake City in USA, which was covered with thick white snow, and yet the lights were still burning in the old clock shops. Old clock shops. The owner of that shop is Ray. He was very old. He was a deaf owner also. He was old as well as deaf also. Worked on a clock he had sold that day, and he was working on a clock that he had to sold it that very day itself. Now the having finished his work, what he did, Ray, he stood up after finishing his work, that he was working on a uh, clock which he had to sold that day. And after finishing his work, Ray, the owner of the shop, he stood up and was on his way to the back room. And he was to the back room, and then he got a cold rush of air from the front door. He was getting from the front door the cold rush of air, and that air, it hit on the on his neck. It hit on his neck somewhere there. Then he turned to meet a last minute shopper. Somebody, they came, no, the last minute shopper means the last customer, we can say. But his old wise eyes, his the Ray's old and wise eyes told him what he told him, that this was not a shopper, that the shopkeeper, they who had a, or who are very experienced, they can say that whether somebody is the person who comes in their shop, whether they are a customers or not, they could easily find out. So here also his old and wise eyes could tell him, no, that this was not a shopper. He saw two men there in his shop. He saw two men, and one man like on his 20s. One man, he was his age is 20 years, and the other was just closer to 50, just about to 50. Now the younger man, who remained in the door, the young man who is in the age of 20, he was there on the door. You can see here, no, uh, there you can see one man, he is standing here on the door. He is according in this lessons, according to these lessons, he is age is like 20, and this man this man his age is like about 50. So he was standing there on the door, and what happened next? Mm, the older man he approached, he has gone where he approached he has gone near the counter, with no sign of friendliness, with no there is no any sign, okay. We cannot see any sign, like sign of friendliness means like smiles, or your body language, your expressions of your face can also can say that there is some sign of friendliness. So in his face there is no any sign of friendliness. Then Ray was able to hide his growing fear as he slowly pushed a notepad and a pencil across the counter. Then Ray, he was in fear. He is having fear, but he was trying to hide his fear, and he tried. He slowly, what he did, he pushed a notepad. He pushed a notepad and a pencil across the counter. Then he smiled. He smiled at the unfriendly face. Means he smiled at him. With whom? At him. He smiled at him, whose face is not at all friendly. He smiled at him in an unfriendly, at the unfriendly face, then pointed to his ears. He pointed, the Ray, he's pointed to his ears and shook his head uh, from side to side, like no, he was shaking. Means he tried to say that he could not hear. He cannot hear. A quick look of surprise changed the man's face. A quick look of surprise changed the what? A man's face as he studied the notepad. As he was reading the notepad, the like he was surprised. The man was surprised. Something, no? Then why he was surprised, like can be seen like after reading that notepad which the Ray has given to him, and then turned and said something to his friend, and he turned and went there on the door where his friend was standing, and he said something to his friend. Ray used the chance to look closely at the man. So when he was going at the man and they were talking something, that the Ray, the old deaf owner of that shop, he got the chance to look at the man very closely, and paying attention to the shape of a gun and a restless hands in the man's right coat pocket. Like he was having the gun, he could find the shape of the gun on the uh, right coat pocket, where it was on the right coat pocket. He is having the gun. So we can say the right pocket here also. Here maybe his hands restlessly, he was moving his hands there time to time, and he can see this. Ray can see this. He got the chance to look closely at the man, and there the shape of a gun and a restless hands in the man's right coat pocket he could see. But after seeing that, anger boiled within him. He was so angry. No, the owner, the Ray, he was so angry, but it was kept down by an inner voice that said, but his inner voice that said that be still, be calm, be cool, no, don't get angry this moment, no, anything can be happen. Then he control himself, he control his anger. Now he wrote on the notepad which was there on the counter. Now he wrote something there, and what he has written on the notepad, may I help you, he has written, may I help you. Then for the first time the older man looked directly at Ray for the first time. But before he was not looking directly at the man, at the row, the man, he was not looking directly at the Ray, but for the first time after giving that notepad and written there, may I help you, the man for the first time he looked at Ray and smiled. He looked at him and he smiled. We can say a cruel mocking smile, a very cruel and not a good smile, or an insulting, to insult someone, no, like that smile he has given, or to make fun of that person's, no, that smile he has given. They both understood, both Ray and the persons who came, they both understood why he was there, why his friend remained at the door. So they both understand, maybe that reason why the persons, why this man he smiled in that way. They looked like men who were down on the luck and were now ready to try something they would later be sorry about. So maybe, no, they were doing this, maybe they were what we can say, down on their luck, because they were down. Why? On their luck, they have a very bad luck, and now for that reason they were ready to do anything for that, or that would later be sorry about. They did not mind that if anything would happen later, they would mind it, they would not say sorry, or they would not feel that something they did mistake and all. For that they would not mind it. So that much, no, their luck had made them. So because of their bad luck, so this is what they look like. Okay, it is not still we cannot say anything, but they look like as if they are on their they were on we can say down on their luck, and for that they are ready to do anything. So in the first part this much only. So the second part we will see in the next class. You read the book. Okay, reading is very important. Read once the book, and wherever, you know, my dear students, some of the words that maybe the meaning you will not get, try to find out the meaning in your dictionary, so that it will be very easy for you to understand the lessons. Today this much only. Thank you very much. Stay at home, don't go anywhere. Take a very good care of your health.